Hey guys, this is Rabbit. So you are here to explore some rabbit holes with me. We are going to do this together. We're going to review information and we're going to get to the point of this information. We're not going to prolong it. Feel free to rewatch it, and there's always receipts to the topics at hand, so you can go and double check and do your homework. Again, we are here to give perspective, and all disclosures will be on the description box.
Before we get started, though, if you have not seen the case review of Quawan Charles, I'm going to ask you to stop and go back to the description box. You will see the plaintiff Jane's link, which really does a phenomenal, fantastic job of breaking down the details and getting that information for us. It'll make much more sense for you to review that so that you understand some of the systemic rabbit holes, so to speak, that we encounter when we're in situations like a missing child. I'm mesmerized by there being a criteria that will determine whether a child is going to be searched, a missing child. And that is concerning that we've put this criteria over the lives of kids, over the lives of our Black kids, our minority brown children. That is a concern. And this is how people die, and this is what happened. This child was failed. This system failed. And so we're going to look at that, and we're going to look at the different moving parts of the Amber Alert, how the system responds to children of color. My hope is that we can do a little bit of a series based on the information that we have. We will not be covering the full case. I think that, again, Jane, I would recommend that you go watch her channel. She's done a phenomenal job with that. So with that being said, we will get started on our first little series.
Once upon a time, we used to have television alerts, these annoying kind of scary things that would pop up in your while you were watching cartoons or your favorite TV novela, whatever that was, right? And it was annoying, right? And it was a little scary. For me, it was as a child. Nowadays, we're getting these notifications on our phone.
The Amber Alert website, you will find the most current report for 2019. That is the most current at this time. And when you look at their report, they have basically stats of reporting and how often. I mean, they look at even by race. They look at different areas by state, and also just territories, and just different anomalies between bad reports, good reports. So I thought this was interesting because they have 5 criteria that they have in their definitions report. You'll find this like in the second or third page of that report, and it basically lists like the very first 2 being that there is a reasonable belief by law enforcement an abduction has occurred. Now on the other side, on this area, I have the Amber Alert criteria by the state of Louisiana. Mind you, this Amber Alert gives the recommendations. The recommendations come from the U.S. Department of Justice, and so then the state of Louisiana decides what they're going to adapt from those recommendations. And as you can see, there's only 3 of them. This one has, 5 recommendations, and in Louisiana we only adopted 3 of them, right? So that kind of gives you a perspective of, what the head is saying. This is what, we should be adopting or adapting, and what Louisiana decided to do. And what you will find, and why I bring this up, it's going to vary by state. Tennessee is an example of another state that has a different criteria. So we will look at that in a minute, and I bring that up for a very good reason. Why I brought up the state of Tennessee is because there was an article written by Janelle Griffith from NBC News, and I will definitely link the information. I thought this report that she did was very interesting. You had 2 missing boys, 2 different outcomes and questions about the Amber Alert that led. And so when a child went missing, he was 9 years old and he was listed as in danger child alert. So that initiated an Amber Alert. And they compared this runaway from in his case, and why it was that this child they responded to fairly quickly, found him in basically less than 24 hours. And there was I guess a growing concern about his well-being, which led to him being endangered. And so with Quawan being found dead, right, there was no Amber Alert. That was the other side to that. There was also an issue of white and black here as well. But also I think the other thing that I thought was very interesting that this article looked into is our expectations of the Amber Alert system as a community and as a whole. And so then someone had made a quote in here, and again, look into the information, but it said, in a situation where a kid is going to die, there's nothing we can do. And this is someone that essentially feels like, we're using the system to basically solve a problem and a crime control theater tactic, which is unfortunate because what the Amber Alert showed earlier on that other 9-year-old boy was that he was found, and they found him less than 24 hours, and he was safe. And that was that. And here we have someone that didn't even get an Amber Alert. And so then it doesn't take, at least in my opinion, a rocket scientist to really see why it's not matching up and why race really matters when it comes to the Amber Alert. Okay, so I'm going to link all this information. You guys can review it. I think the other side to this too, and to keep this in mind, is that when you think of the Amber Alert, one of the criteria was that we had to basically that the child somebody had witnessed an abduction, right? Like something, he was taken. But it makes me wonder and question, what about situations in which kids are abducted? They're not at risk. Say that, like, someone is, the child's playing outside the street. They weren't at risk and they just happen to be taken, and no one sees anything that they've been taken. No one knows anything. There was no indication of that, right? So how does that criteria play in that situation? Especially if the state of Louisiana has listed that. Because how many reports do you have out there that say the first criteria of the Amber Alert isn't working because several kids are abducted and no one witnessed an abduction? No one felt like this child was at risk. There was no human trafficking. There was nothing. We have to kind of open our minds about those possibilities, right? In order for us to question what's going on. Okay, so in our next clip, I'm going to look a little bit further into the state of Louisiana, their response and what they did. It's a little bit irritating, and you guys will find that, especially in my tone, as to how they felt like they needed to respond. And I really think that this is going to cause some changes about this criteria, and also just in general about how we respond to situations like that. And it should, right? We should be proactive. If you're a minority, black, brown, a person of color, you need to be very concerned about this, because like I said before, this can happen to anyone. All right, well, thank you, and it's nice speaking to you guys.